Wesley saw, this is going to be a fun one. And Garry was white. I want to see him go for the throat.
We saw international arbiter David Hayter quickly jump in and check those clocks to make sure check that clock to make sure it's correct. There's a lot of movement going on for a clock, and finally everything is settled, and looks like the other arbiter.
We're ready to go.
David Wang came in. And
a completely different approach. This move already surprises me. Why is there a pawn on e4? Everything that I said about the position went down the drain. The bishop's not going to go to e4. The queen is not active. I don't want to say that Garry's making a mistake on move one, because how can you? But it wasn't the approach I would have taken.
You know, it is a very surprising move as e5 is played back, and very much not taking the initiative against black immediately. Nothing to threaten right away, just developing pieces, and Wesley saying, hey, if you want to do that, I'll do it with you. And c3, now this is something that is hard to copy because d4 will come, well, actually, d4 is not even necessarily threatened.
No, you probably have to castle first, but remember, the knight's going to go to b3, so it will help on the break d4, and it opens the bishop on b1, so a lot of good things happening immediately there for
I think Wesley's concerned about these threats. d4, and there's Garry. Was that allowed? A little two-hand castle there?
You know what? It's Garry. We're going to let him do it. So Garry, with the castling long, prepares the move d4. I kind of like the approach. Now, two people thought moving the g-pawn was correct. Peter and Garry both opened e4, and one person actually opened d4, which we didn't even think about.
Well, we were definitely attracted to the move. And what we'll say is, if you give us more time, then we'd say, let's go in another path, right? Let's see if there's other ways to play chess. We know that there are other ways to play chess, but we were giving what we thought was the top recommendation.
Right.
And a couple of players followed along with our suggestion. That seemed to be the most efficient, but that's what's great about chess. There are different ways to play, and there we do see that g6 move, and Garry about to also play the same kind of move as his hand is hovering, and he's played g3.
I did kind of wonder what happened in d4, but because e2 is actually not defended. So if you go d4, let me put that on the board. If instead of g3, you go with the move d4, and I take twice.
Look as if anything super original going on. The explosion will certainly come later in the game.
They're building up. They're building up. You can see that Garry has prepared not one, but two different breaks. He's going to unleash either d4 or f4 on Wesley's position. I'm liking the approach. It's not straight into tactics. It's not straight into killing the guy. It's conceptual chess. You put your pieces in good squares, you prepare your breaks, everybody's happy playing from the positions that they're in. The queen on h1, already participating in the center. The bishop on e1 is the only one that still tries to get in the game, but as I mentioned, both d4 and f4 will open up paths for it.
But despite the way this game began, we have a perfectly symmetrical position.
We do.
There's just nothing different on either side.
Well, remember, a big deal.
Except
Okay, there it is. There it is.
Except this move. And now, it's absolutely copycat chess all the way through. Of course, it came about in a different move order, but we have the exact same position. The question is, does this mean that white has some sort of real initiative as a result? Because they have the exact
something, and I think Garry Wesley will be our marquee matchup. It's that bishop on b1 that gives me hope for Garry. I like the bishop. Queen 8, whoa, queen h6. Some trixies on the diagonal.
As soon as Garry's funny. As soon as he puts his knight on a good square, he trades it off. He's like, you know what, I'm getting rid of your stuff. My bottom line is that bishop on b1. That's what this game is going to be about. The bishop on b1. By the way, your bishop on b8 is not exactly saying anything either.
No. This bishop on b8 is
bishop played a5.
Oh,
he's going to try to shut the position down. I glanced at it, but I wasn't sure. But is it true?
Is it?
Is your light squares not dropping quickly?
It's 10 minutes. Oh, he has time. He has time to consider.
Garry's taking on c4. He's taking on d5. That I'm betting the house.
No, the house is gone.
What?
The house was gambled at the last second.
You walked over to this board and you looked at this and you say, black sucks.
Yeah.
Black sucks.
Now the question is, do you save the bishop on b1? You don't give it up. You save the bishop. Do you take on g5 first, though?
No.
Bishop
I save
d3
my
right
bishop.
away.
Forget you. You get no second chances. Or even first chances.
But king b2 is a huge threat. Huge threat, because the knight has to retreat to b5. Then you take on b5, take on b5, queen takes d5, right? It's the same variation we just saw, but much worse.
This is terrible.
That's terrible.
I mean, clear. A5 did nothing.
It might just be lost.
He's just kind of floundering around. Let me see. Let me try to confuse the guy.
No, all your pieces are on the wrong squares.
Gary knows.
All the pieces are on the wrong squares.
He's not going to be confused. He took the. Remember that genius capturing of the light squared bishop?
Oh, yeah.
Knight from f6 takes on e8. How deep was that many
The
moves
man
ago?
knows his classics. He's a classic himself.
Absolutely. Fischer versus Taimanov.
Capablanca Alekhine.
Using a great knight to take a horrible bit. I think he even did it against Petrosian as well. The idea of having this great piece and taking the piece. Right here is this critical moment. I'm just going to control the game and beat you positional style. And this is what he's doing here.
And I don't see
This is just unstoppable.
I don't see the defense.
If you said who's playing white, Garry or Karpov, you say Karpov.
Oh yeah, it's Karpovian.
It's
The way
Karpovian.
that he controls.
Total control.
He never goes for the kill, always the control. Always the control. And it's falling apart for Wesley. The pawn on f5, if it
dead.
falls, but if it falls, g4 falls.
Everything falls.
Everything
He's
falls.
Desperate. He just traded.
He traded.
Queen h5 is a threat. Queen h7 is a threat.
And they're monster threats. They're not like little threats.
Your knight just can't get back. It's just.
And he's played king b8, a very
b8
clever
now.
move. That's scary. Queen's coming in. There's a lot of checks.
Exactly, and you can't even back down. Queen d2, queen h1. This game turned. This game turned.
Did it?
This game turned. Look
Okay,
at this.
a couple checks.
Look at that. He's agreed to
No,
a draw.
no, you
He's
agreed to a draw.
A disastrous development.
Oh, how did it happen?